Alright, continuing our area chapter, we are now looking at area of trapezoids. We've looked at area of rectangles and squares, we've looked at area of parallelograms, we've looked at area of triangles, and now we're moving on to trapezoids. And basically what a trapezoid is it's a rectangle with some triangles on the outside of it. Okay, so that's essentially what a trapezoid is. And so we're going to be using a formula that's going to be finding the area of that. Breaking it has kind of breaks it down into its pieces, but we'll be using that. So first off, a quick refresher on what trapezoids are, since it's been a while since we've talked about them. So trapezoids have different parts and they have different names for them. So the parallel sides of a trapezoid, so the sides that are going to be they don't intersect each other, those are called your bases. That's very important. And then the other parts that are connecting the bases are called your legs. Okay, we won't be using the legs very much for our area formulas. So actually in our area formula we don't even use the legs at all. And then the other part you need is the height. So the distance from one base to another. That's what your height is. So it creates a little 90-degree angle. And so we want to know how high or how far apart are the two bases. And that's what we're going to be looking at. So now the formula for a trapezoid is as follows. A is equal to 1/2 h times b1 plus b2. So the first thing you have to do is you have to add first. Okay. So the first thing you have to do is you have to add, and then you multiply 1/2 times the height times the sum of the two bases. So you add the bases together, multiply it by the height, and then you end up with your answer. Okay. As you notice, the legs have no play in this area formula. Okay. All right, so with that formula, let's do an example. So if we have the area, if we want to find the area of this trapezoid, take a second. Of course, this is a 90-degree angle. Okay. Find the area of this trapezoid. Look out for units. Okay, so hopefully when you found the area of this trapezoid, you ended up with approximately either 96 feet squared or 10 2/3 feet squared. If you ended up with 42, the reason why you got the wrong answer, even though you might think you got the right answer, was because this is in yards. And so either you have to turn everything into yards or you have to turn everything into feet. I'm going to turn everything into feet, so 9 yards is equal to 27 feet. So how I would set this up would be 1/2 times 6 times 5 plus 27. Okay. So 5 plus 27 ends up with a 32. So 32 times 6 times 1/2. So then it ends up being 3 times 32. 3 times 32. Which gets us our 96 feet squared as our answer. Okay. If you did in yards, the reason why it's a fraction is because 5 feet ends up being 5/3 yards. And so you have to deal with it that way. So the one thing with area of trapezoids, make sure that the units are correct. But again, setting it up fairly simple, fairly straightforward, is to add the bases together, so the flat sides, the parallel sides, add them together, multiply them by how tall it is, and then divide it in half. Okay, that's how you find the area of your trapezoids. Okay, so take a minute, find the area of this trapezoid, and I'll give you a minute to find it, and make sure you have inches squared at the end of your answer. Okay, so to set up this one, we would end up going 4 plus 9 times 3 times 1/2. So 4 and 9 are our bases. Added together get you 13. So it'd end up being 13 times 3 times 1/2. So 13 times 3 divided by 2 ends up getting us about 19.5 inches squared. Okay. And that would be our answer. Okay. Alright, so here's your homework from this section. So 427, numbers 1 through 21. that's the end of this section with trapezoids.